people another 30 seconds or so, just in case they're joining the call, and then we'll make a start on the presentation for this evening. We are going to be recording this, so if you do not want your cameras on, or if you don't want your kind of images up, then please do be aware that we are recording this for those parents that are unable to make this meeting. So we'll start in just another 10 seconds or so. Okay.
Show your device settings.
Fantastic. If you are kind of on the call, we'll obviously there's going to be 3 of us presenting later, but if you could make sure, if you're in that call, if we could just make sure your microphones are switched off, just to prevent some feedback on the call. Perfect. Wonderful. Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Ellie Wade. I'm the Deputy of Secondary here at Dubai British School in Mirror Park. And tonight we are running through our options process and procedures for those of you that are either currently in Year 9 at DBSJP, or for those of you that are looking at what our options are here at the school. I'm joined by 2 of our senior members of staff. So I've got Mr. DeMeo Smith, who is our current head of Year 9, who will be talking you through some of our curriculum offers and some of the subjects. And we also have Mr. Casham, who is our assistant head in charge of pastoral. So they are going to be giving you a wealth of their experience and their kind of expertise over the coming 20 minutes or so. So we're going to start off by just looking at the British curriculum and what we offer here at the school. So Mr. DeMeo Smith, if you could just start our presentation for me. And we're going to do a share screen. We will be sharing all of these resources with you once we've concluded this evening. So as I said, today is our Year 9 options evening. So this is for students that are coming to the end of Key Stage 3 or Year 9 and are just about to embark on our Key Stage 4 curriculum, which includes things like GCSEs and our Level 2 BTECs. Now we're going to run through just a little bit in terms of the process and then a little bit about what the qualifications are like before we break out into some of our breakout rooms for you to ask any of those questions which you have for our subject specialists who are anxiously waiting for some of those questions, but also if you do have any general questions that you get a chance to answer those. So for those of you that are unfamiliar with the British system, we have a series of different qualifications and levels of qualifications which we offer at the school. Now up until Key Stage 3 we follow the philosophy of the curriculum of England, and that is keeping a very, very broad range of subjects which include obviously our core, so English, maths, sciences, but also our humanities subjects and creatives and some of our design and technology along with PE and the ministry subjects as well. So what we have when we start to get to the end of Key Stage 3, so Year 9, is where we start to give students a little bit more flexibility in some of the subjects which they opt into. And it's at this point that we start our options process where they select those ones which they're really interested in and can see them starting to progress on. So the subjects which we offer into our Key Stage 4 are what we call Level 2 qualifications. So on the chart in front of you, it gives you the Key Stage 4 with that Level 2 kind of grading. So all of the courses which we offer will enable students to reach that Level 2 qualification. And what that means is that they've achieved a grade 6 or above in GCSEs or our BTEC equivalencies. So that level is the level that students need to reach for them to progress onto A levels and into sixth form, and those qualifications then enable the kind of movement up into universities or further educations. So on this table in front of us, you can see that this kind of Key Stage 4 is the kind of stepping stone to start to make the move up into sixth form. And as we go into the next part of the presentation, we'll look at what the subjects are that we offer here in school and how we can progress on. If we could go into the next slide, please. Okay, I'm actually going to hand over to Mr. Casham now to talk a little bit about how we perform, because we have already had some cohorts go through our GCSEs the last couple of years, just to give you an indication of kind of the level that the students here are working at and some of the successes I know Mr. Casham's particularly proud of with his year groups that have gone through in the last couple of years.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Thank you once again for your time this evening. It is obviously a very difficult decision when you're thinking about your child's future in terms of making sure that they are set up for the best opportunities in life. And actually, that starts from an early stage. It's not something that happens overnight. So it's a really good opportunity for us to celebrate some of the wonderful achievements in our GCSE results. And the first graph that we've got over here is looking at how DBS-JP and actually Emirates Hills have performed when we're comparing against some of the other fantastic schools in Dubai. And as you can see, when we're looking at our overall pass rate, our grades 9 to 4, which is traditionally the A star to C, we can see that actually we're doing really, really well in terms of those grades. We've got a very high percentage of our students achieving those fantastic grades, which enable them to go on to those wonderful options when it comes to their A-levels or BTECs when they go into sixth form and then on to university. As for the next slide, we can look at the excellence of that, which is the students who are achieving the top grades, the grade 8s and 9s, which are equivalent to the A star, and actually it's perceived to be the A star because they made the GCSE slightly more challenging in lots of ways. Once again, you can see that we are performing really well in comparison to lots of those other schools in Dubai, and that makes us really proud that we've managed to facilitate that journey and bring out those wonderful results. And actually that's going to be what we're looking forward to seeing in the future, and especially with the year group now, the year 9s moving into their Key Stage 4 journeys. And if we move on to the next slide, we can talk about how that might look depending on each student. Miss Wade?
Great, thank you, Mr. Casham. So what we're really proud of is that we are an inclusive school, but we do offer different qualifications for different students' journeys towards those kind of Key Stage 5 subjects. So just to run you through what our Key Stage 4 qualifications look like. We offer 2 types of qualifications at Key Stage 4, so that's year 10 and year 11. The first ones are probably much more familiar for many of you. It's the GCSEs, or the General Certificate of Secondary Education. And these are our more traditional kind of subjects, and these are our subjects that students will study over the 2 years, and they will do exams at the end of those 2 years in those subjects. Now, because we're an international centre, we do have the option to offer IGCSEs, which is just the international version of those qualifications. Now, the difference between them, we get lots of questions about what is the difference between IGCSE and GCSEs. And the biggest difference, I'm a geography teacher by nature, so I'm going to use that as a kind of a guide for you, is that when we're in geography doing the IGCSE, what we find is that the case studies which we're able to study are not just UK-centric case studies, so we're able to have a little bit more flexibility and use some examples that students that are living in Dubai or other parts of the world might be more familiar with. Sometimes the course structures are slightly different, but in terms of the level that they would be working at and the expectations for the different gradings within that would be exactly the same. So there are kind of more traditional ones, and they're graded on the new system, which is the 9 to 1, with the 9, as Mr. Cashin said already, is the kind of excellence within those subjects, going down to obviously the 1. And we say that generally if you're scoring kind of a grade 5 or above, that's a really good platform for moving on and taking those subjects at the kind of next level, so our sixth form level. The other subjects or the other qualifications which we offer are BTEC qualifications, and these are based very much around business and technology in terms of the education that is offered. They're often very careers based, so it's lots of hands-on learning, lots of doing things on the job, so to speak, and this is really developing the skills which are needed to be successful in those different areas. Now, one of the biggest difference between our BTEC qualifications as opposed to our GCSE is the ways in which it's marked, the way in which it's assessed. And the biggest single difference is that rather than having a series of exams at the end of that course, we do actually have an ongoing portfolio-based approach where students build and bank grades as they're going through the course. So some of you that have got children that perhaps find those exams really challenging and really difficult, perhaps quite stressful, the BTECs do offer that alternative for them to show their knowledge and understanding, but at the same time not having to rely on that kind of exam at the end of the 2 years. The assignments are marked and set by the classroom teacher, and then we're externally verified with people from the UK that come out and kind of check that our our marking is up to scratch and that those assignments are hitting those grades to enable the children to move on to the next level. The other difference is the grading is slightly different. So rather than having the kind of 9 to 1 or the kind of the letter gradings that we would get at A level, these are actually marked on a pass, a merit and a distinction level, with the very top grades of those being distinction stars. And those distinction levels are kind of our top achieving. So we're kind of looking at those A's to B's in terms of old school money, so to speak, or the 8s and 9s at the GCSEs. Now, students can opt into either purely GCSEs across all of the subjects which they pick, or they can do BTECs, or they can do a blend of those two to balance out the exams and the ways in which we're starting to be assessed. Both of these qualifications do enable students to move on to our sixth form or our Key Stage 5 and go on to take A-levels or BTECs at that next level up. So both of these qualifications provide that platform for moving on and that kind of jump start to move forward onto the next level of their education. Next slide, please. So there are a couple of subjects that are mandatory, that are all level 2 qualifications, so those GCSEs and BTECs, and I'm going to hand over to Mr. Demary Smith to run you through some of the changes which have taken place in the last couple of years, but also some of the exciting new courses which we've got on offer for Year 9 going into Year 10 next year.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ms. Wade. Good evening, everybody. So there are a number of mandatory subjects that students will have to take at GCSE. So these are English, so both literature and language, mathematics and combined science. There's also a few non-examined core mandatory subjects as well, such as Arabic, Islamic studies, the new MSc as well, which is the new kind of moral, social and cultural studies, as well as PE and PSHE. So all of these will be mandatory for all students. They will take these. As I said, that the ones on the left are the examined ones and the ones on the right are the non-examined ones. So just move to the next slide. So this is probably the bit that everybody is really interested in, is what can you take and what can you take with what. As it stands at the moment, we are looking at these 5 blocks, and each student will be able to select one subject between each block. From each block, should I say. The only thing that I need to sort of draw your attention to is that the blocks D and E, Arabic A is compulsory for certain students, but also Arabic B will be compulsory as well. And the students will have to take either Arabic B in block D or block E, depending if they are eligible for that, if they're not doing Arabic A. Now, I know that I've had some feedback already from some students in terms of clashes with some of the subjects that are in there. What we can say at the moment, this is essentially how we've designed the option blocks in terms of feedback we've got and the blocks that we previously used. But we can listen to queries if there are some, and if there's a large response, we can take a look at these and any particular clashes that may be occurring. So I know that there are probably a few questions already, as this has been sent out to students today. But we are definitely open to listening to any issues or any clashes that you have with us. So next, so far we have been in school in PSHE, we have been looking at preparing the students for this process, and we've been using an online a platform called Unifrog. Now, Unifrog is used from Key Stage 4 all the way up to Key Stage 5, and essentially so far the students have been we've had the students log on, and the platform is there where students can access university courses, apprenticeships, college courses and such around the world. And so far, the students have been taking personality quizzes, looking at, what they might like, subject areas that they like, even careers that they like, and then working backwards from those to look at what type of courses and things they should really be looking at choosing at Key Stage 4. So this is what we're doing now. So, Mr. Cashin, would you like to add anything about how Unifrog is used ultimately when we move up to Key Stage 5?
Absolutely, thank you. It's a very difficult decision to make your mind up about what you want to do in the future, what career you want, and actually that's not something that is decided overnight. Obviously, there are exceptions. There are some students that just know what they want to do, but for the majority, it's a very difficult decision. And right now, we wouldn't expect any students to be definite about what they want to be or what kind of career they want to pursue in the future. But Unifrog is a fantastic tool which we've been using to give students an insight into what options there are available in beyond their GCSE and A-level kind of journey. Our sixth formers at the moment are using it really well in terms of thinking about universities to apply for, different systems around the world in terms of universities and other options alternative to university, like apprenticeships and gap years and whatever else that might be. And it's great that Year 9 have the opportunity to have a look through it now to get an insight into their own kind of personality and actually start exploring all of the various different kind of courses that are available. It wouldn't be the best idea to kind of confine yourself to a career right now in Year 9 because there are so many different options and decisions change over the next 2 years. So at the moment, the priority is obviously having a well-rounded selection of options so that you have those options when you get to boiling them down for your A-levels and BTECs when you go into sixth form. Yeah, that's a brief summary, but obviously there'll be lots of other opportunities for Year 9 to find out about Unifrog in their Curriculum Plus sessions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Casham. So obviously the Key Stage 4 Pastoral Team is still very important to us. So it's hugely important, especially with that transition that the students will be making from Key Stage 3 to Key Stage 4 and beyond as well. So essentially moving from Key Stage 3 to Key Stage 4, every lesson counts. It's very important that students understand this. You know, not that it doesn't at Key Stage 3, but the students are obviously going to be getting a qualification at the end of the Key Stage 4. So really the emphasis is on that, you know, everything, all the hard work they put into it is going to count all the way through now. So obviously homeworks and independent study is something that is really, really important for the Key Stage 4 time in Year 10 and Year 11, as well as revision. So in Curriculum Plus, we will be adding in, it's going to be very, very busy. At the moment, we just have, we have space in Year 9 for Islamic and PSHE, but coming up in Key Stage 4 is going to be, MSc is going to be in there as well as Islamic, and then also looking at the Vespa Mindset. Now, this is something that we have been doing already this year. So the Vespa Mindset, essentially, it's teaching students those habits, routines, attitudes, approaches to study. Essentially, the behaviours it's not only your intelligence, but it's your behaviours that determine the end results. So we're looking at creating that well-rounded student, and by teaching them skills and helping them get organised, putting all these systems into place that will help them achieve the highest grades possible that they can at GCSE and A-level and beyond. So far we have in Year 9, we've been looking at the vision. We started that at the beginning of the year, and looking at what students like and what they dislike, and especially with using that with the Unifrog as well, to see, have that vision for the future. As Mr. Casham said, it's important to have that in mind. You don't have to have something set in stone, but having an idea of what you want to do to kind of guide yourself through into those choices for Key Stage 4. We will be then looking more towards the end of this year as well, having a look at introducing the other aspects of Vespa, such as effort, systems, practice and attitude, and these will then be implemented into the PSHE curriculum when we go into Key Stage 4. So the idea is that we're introducing these ideas in Key Stage 3, but then they will hit the floor running, as it were, when we move into Key Stage 4. Sorry, let me just move on to the next slide. So these are the upcoming dates for the process that we're running at the moment for the options process. So obviously today this is the options evening, so Monday 24th. We're going to give the students 2 weeks to get their written responses into myself, and then I will go through those, and I will correlate all the information that I get, and then feedback to Mr. Casham as well. We'll have a meeting about this afterwards, then after that, we've got the Year 9 Parent-Teacher Conference, which is an opportunity for you, once your son or daughter has chosen those options, to have that one-to-one discussion with your teachers to look at the suitability and talk about, any further things that maybe have come up in that process that you want to talk to them about. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Ms. Wade or Mr. Casham, before I move on to how the rest of the evening will run?
No, I mean, I think one of the key things is it's a really exciting time for the Year 9s. It's quite exciting, but at the same time, it can be quite daunting. So I know Mr. DeMeo Smith is about to explain how you can get some of those initial questions. So we've given you a very brief overview. You've got the options booklet that you've been sent out, which has got a huge amount of detail in. But it's really now time to make sure you're asking lots of questions, getting those answers to those questions, so that you can make sure you've got as much information as you can before making these really exciting choices. So please do make sure you drop in on those teachers, because they're anxiously waiting for some of these kind of responses.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wade. So you have been sent this out last week with the email from myself last week on Thursday. So essentially, you've already clicked on this link here, which is the introductory session. And now what we'll do, myself, Ms. Wade and Mr. Cashen will hang back in the call just in case there's any general inquiries that you have about the whole process, and we're here to answer those questions. But from 6 o'clock onwards in the next 10 minutes, all the heads of department or relevant teachers who will be delivering these subject areas that your son or daughter might be interested in are going to be waiting in Teams calls for you to come in and then ask questions, and they'll be there to talk to you about their subject in much more detail than what we can in this session here. So all you will need to do is at 6 o'clock, you can then click on each of the subject areas. Has got a little arrow with a little door on it. So you just click on those, and then you'll enter into the Teams call for that, and then you'll be greeted by the relevant teachers there. I've also, as well, I've had a few students just message me saying they didn't know where this was. So I've actually put it onto the Year 9 notices now as well. So if you're there, if you can't find the email, then it's now on the Year 9 notices as well. But as I said, thank you very much for your time. And it's really exciting time, as well as Miss Wade has said, and I'm looking forward to further discussing this with your children and being involved in the whole process. So we will be here for the next 10 minutes or so, but please feel free to stay or just to wait and go into these sessions at 6 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Hello, this is Bülent Ünsal, father of Can Ünsal. I have a question regarding Arabic. So I see, Arabic is both in the compulsory section in the out of the options, but in the options block there is also Arabic. So does the students need to take Arabic in both the compulsory ones and from the options block as well?
No, what we've done is Arabic is a compulsory subject. It's a new government directive that all students need to study Arabic up until the end of Year 10. So we have it in the options blocks so that they can match it with some of their other subjects. Now there is the option that if your kind of child wants to continue with that and do an exam in that, there is the option to take that either at the end of Year 10 if the level is high enough, or to maintain that going into Year 11 as well, to then get a kind of a qualification in that at the end of the course. So we offer a couple of different pathways in terms of how your child wants to do that, and they have to study it in Year 10.
Yeah, I was trying to not get into more details of Arabic, more reduce the Arabic. So since it is eating one of the blocks to select, and it is it is a must that a student must select this. So why did you put in the blocks? I mean, and rather than moving into the compulsory section, so that you release one more block for the students to select from?
Yeah, the reason we put it into the blocks, as I said, is just to give a bit of flexibility with other subjects. If we were to remove it from the blocks, the students would still only, because of the amount of time on the timetable, on the curriculum, they would actually only be able to select from 4 blocks rather than the 5 which you've got on there. So we've just given that a little bit of flexibility to pal up with other subjects and to give a bit more choice in terms of the range. But all students are only able, if we were to put it as a compulsory, so to speak, they would only be able to opt for four additional options in addition to the compulsory subjects.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, I have a question. This is Saad Uchkir, the father of Reda Uchkir. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Yeah, so the question is related to French. So I see French as an optional subject. My son told me, but I think there was a misunderstanding, that if he wanted to take French, he would have needed to select it at the beginning of Year 9. Can he still select French for next year, or is it not possible?
Yeah, that would be something that obviously that's quite a kind of a niche or a kind of a quite personal question. What we would need to do is obviously work with you as a family and also with Mr. Handawi, who's our head of languages, to look at the level that you're kind of working at the moment. And if it was going to be an option that you wanted to select at GCSE, looking at what support we could put in place now to make sure that there isn't any gaps in that year 9 knowledge moving forward.
Is this decision only related to the level? I just want to understand what's the criteria.
Yeah, so if maybe you could email me separately, then I can run through the specifics for your family. That.
All right, no, that's fine. I will email you, but I just wanted to understand if there was any deadline that we missed. Just okay, we didn't miss any deadline. Fine, I will send you an email. Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah, hello. Hi, my name's Sarah Jane Grant. I just have one question. I see that we have 2 Englishes. Do the 2 Englishes count as 2 separate GCSEs? That's my first question. I can see you're nodding, so the answer is yes.
Yes, they do.
So that would be five compulsory GCSEs then. And then I see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks. My question then is, do children typically take 10 GCSEs, or what's the average, please?
Yeah, it depends on the curriculum and the school. We've obviously, as you've said, we've got those kind of 10 subjects which they would be taking. As we've mentioned or kind of alluded to already, we have got that Arabic in there as one of the option choices. Now that could either be taken through as a GCSE, so that would give the kind of 10, or alternatively, if it was decided that they weren't going to maintain that through, that would be 9. That is quite common in terms of the number of subjects, but if there are any concerns in terms of the number of subjects, obviously we could discuss that as a one-to-one conversation with yourselves and the family.
Thank you.
Yes, hello. If you carry on to take Arabic as an exam after year 10, is it a GCSE or is it a different type of qualification?
Yes, that would be as a GCSE, so it would be a similar style approach to the languages ones in French and Spanish, and it would be Arabic as a modern foreign language GCSE.
Clear. Thank you very much.
My question kind of follows on to that. Say if your child doesn't want to take Arabic, so they have to take Arabic in year 10, for example, and then they're not continuing into year 11. What happens with that space that they've already taken into the timetable for year 10 that they're not continuing into year 11?
Yeah, so we've got a couple of different pathways. Obviously, some of the children would maintain the Arabic up to the end of year 11, so they would form a class. We then do an additional curriculum offer within there, so we get study support from our core subjects, so English, Maths and Science, dependent on the needs of students. And we also have accreditation, so if I say like Microsoft accreditation for different skill sets, so that they can get some professional qualifications that run alongside that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Question.
I am Vanika Srivastava's mother. My daughter. Yeah. I have one question. So there were these blocks which you had listed with the couple of subjects. So is it compulsory to take only one subject from that particular block, or we can choose 2 or 3?
Yes, just one per block.
I have one question. I don't remember the block. I'll go through it. But if there's computer science and French, my daughter wants to take French and computer science. So that will that be possible for us to do it?
If on the option form you fill in, if you just put that information, that's a request that you have, we can look to see if we can facilitate that.
Okay. And since we are going to move from Dubai, is it advisable that she doesn't take Arabic at GCSE level? And I want her to take IGCSE and not do the GCSE, because we'll be moving in near future.
The courses would be dependent on the subject which they're taking, so they're kind of different setups and different structures. If you could perhaps contact Mr. Smith with what your specific subjects are that you've got queries on, then we can look at where there would be overlap and where there wouldn't be. With the Arabic, we do have to make sure that all children are taking that up until the end of year 10. That is a mandate from the government that we have to fulfil that.
Right, understood. Thank you so much.
Hi, this is Lois. I wanted to ask Swaki's mum for the BTEC and the BTEC business, and then it's also labeled as business. Is there a difference, or is it just the same subject?
I can answer that. Yeah, there is a difference. There's the BTEC in business, and there's also the GCSE in business. They're slightly different. The BTEC is obviously assessed and structured in a different way in comparison to the GCSE in business, which is more focused on an exam at the end of the 2 years. The grading also at the end of that has its slight differences. With the GCSE, it's a grade 1 to 9, 9 being the highest grade, whilst with the BTEC, it's a grading system where it ranges from a pass going up to a distinction or a distinction star. But yeah, they're slightly different to each other.
All right, thank you for the clarification.
A pleasure.
Hi,
Hi.
Simon's mum here. I just have a quick question. The windows on the presentation to go into at 6 o'clock, obviously I noticed that there's no sequence to it, right? You just enter in anyone you want to. I'm just trying to wonder, just to make the best use of time, if you enter one window and some parents are already there, how does it work? Like if you wanted to have the information, how is it organized?
So essentially, we've shared a link with some videos from each subject area. So if you wanted to find out about each subject area, you could maybe go to those videos to find out the general summaries. What we wanted to model with this evening is more the freedom of going around physically. If you're in the building, you'd be able to go around and talk to each kind of subject area. So the teams or the each meeting is it's more fluid. So you can kind of join a meeting or leave a meeting as you please, just to have that opportunity to have some interaction with various teachers essentially. So if you feel that one is busy, you might want to come back to it later. And if you don't get a chance to speak to any teachers, just let us know. We'll arrange for a separate meeting later on to answer any questions that you might have. I have noticed it is 6:01, so if anyone would like to perhaps leave the meeting and join some of the others, please feel free to. But equally, if you want to stick around and ask any questions, we're also available.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I can see in the comments there's a couple of questions as well. So if anyone's still around and asking some of those, I like that maths question from Hamza Taha. Is the grading system curve-based? I mean, is the first 10% will be A star? It's correct. The grading is obviously set by the examining board, but it is normally distributed. So using a normal distribution curve, they will assess and assign grade boundaries for each examination. That depends on the cohort, but also the level of challenge on the paper. But it is curve-based. I like that question. I can see another question from Mrs. Saleh. If the subjects that we will choose for GCSE will be based on grades or not. The majority of them will not be. However, there are some separate subjects that we do need to look closely at. For instance, triple science is not a subject that is for everyone, in the sense that it is very challenging, it's very demanding, and we want to make sure that whatever students choose, it's right for them in terms of their success. So there might be some conversations based on their suitability for certain options, but it's something that is usually an individual basis. But in the majority of them, all the options are available for all students. I can see another question about why there are 4 subjects in Block A, but not in others. In Block A, actually, I can see there's quite a few. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 options actually. But the blocks were built around feedback from students in terms of the previous years and what students have kind of opted for. We've tried to fit the blocks around in the best way to satisfy the various choices that students tend to go for, and that's how we've set them up essentially. So it's not necessarily one block has more options or less for any particular reason, other than these are the blocks that have fit before to allow for students to get their desired kind of options and choices. So in terms of science, maybe Mr. Demir Smith, you're probably better to answer that one.
Yes, so essentially what we'll do is once we've got the options forms in, we will look at the suitability of the students for triple science, and if we feel that they're suitable for it, then we'll have that conversation with them in school. And yes, as Mr. Casham has said, it is quite a demanding course. There's a lot more content to it. There's a lot more at the end of the course as well. It's heavily examined as well in terms of extra exams for each of those topics, for each of those subjects, should I say. So yeah, in terms if you're so who was asking that question? I just missed the
it was Anna Lusk's
yeah, Anna Lusk. So it would be if Anna was interested in doing triple science, then she can definitely put it on her options form. But if we did, I'm not saying she is or not. If we felt that she was not suitable for it, then we would have that conversation with her. But if she is suitable, obviously, then we would welcome her onto the course. And that's me just talking very vaguely there about Anna. I'm not suggesting that she is or not, but yes, it will be dependent on ability. As I said, it's a very, very tough course. It's a very as I said, there's a lot of content. It's we move through it very, very quickly. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Just to echo on that, and as a reassurance, it doesn't mean that if someone takes combined science, they are limited from taking it up at A level. That's absolutely possible as long as they get the right grade at the end of GCSE. To use a real life example, I studied combined science. I didn't do triple, and I went on to study at A level and actually did a degree in chemistry. So it's absolutely fine. There's no reason why you have to necessarily take it. I can see
that's the same with me actually, Mr. Sir, as well. I forgot to mention that. Thank you for adding that. And I don't think there was triple science when we were at school, was there? So it was, yeah, it was all double.
There was an option, yeah. But it's not prerequisite. It's not essential. It does help. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't hinder anyone's eligibility to go on to A level and beyond. So no, absolutely fine there. If you have never taken,
there's another question that's come in about two option choices in the same. I'm assuming within the same option block. Yeah, that's not a problem at all. If you kind of put on the form where the clash is, and we can look to see if there's possible, if there's a big enough uptake or a number of students that have got the same issue. This year, the current year 10, we did put additional option choices in some of the other ones to facilitate some of the clashes that went on there. We obviously can't promise that we'll be able to do that, but where possible, if we can make it work so that you get the option choices that you want, we can definitely look into that. And that's part of kind of getting this information in quite early, so we can make sure our staffing's in place. We've got enough teachers to be able to deliver those things, so that we can where possible meet as many of those choice options as we can.
The question about Arabic, that decision is based around essentially your passport. I'd like to say, I mean, whether Arabic is a native language to you or whether it's something that comes in as an additional language. So if you've never taken Arabic, it'd be Arabic B for sure, unless your passport says otherwise, and unless you have a passport that determines that you have to do it. That's something that comes along from the Ministry of Education and the KHDA. So that's beyond our kind of, it's not really a choice. It's based on what you qualify for, essentially. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
Yeah, I think I saw a hand up earlier, but it went down. I'm not sure if anyone has any further questions. Okay, so we'll stick around if you'd like to ask any more questions.
There's one that's just coming about sixth form, Mr. Casham.
Ah, okay. What are the requirements for sixth form then? It's a great question. It depends on the course, essentially. It depends on the course in terms of if it's an A level in maths, for instance, there would be a certain grade requirement in GCSE maths to be able to qualify for it. However, there are some subjects that don't necessarily rely on being able to do it at GCSE. For instance, something like computer science. It relies more on maths than it does on actually studying computer science before. If we're thinking about the likes of let's go for psychology, it's more about your ability in maths and biology that contribute to your eligibility for that. In the options booklet, I think there is a section on that in terms of your options and how that can lead into other A-level options later on. But they are kind of individual, and it does depend on the options that you're interested in. But yeah, each subject does have a separate entry requirement. And again, the intention of that is just to make sure that you're on the right course and that you lead to those amazing grades that open the doors for university and beyond. Thank you.
If you're particularly interested in the A-level options, there is the A-level options booklet on our website as well. So if you're looking to do a little bit of a deeper read on that, then do have a look at that. That will give you all the information that you need. Okay, I can see we've still got some people in the chat. So if you do have any questions, do feel free to ask them. We'll endeavour to get those answered for you.
And equally, please do take advantage of the available sessions around and get a chance to speak to some of the other departments about the course and what it entails and how it's structured and all those questions that they'd be really best placed to answer. How about other subjects such as economics and German, please? Great question. Economics is something that we offer at A-level, and we felt that that's a better place for it to begin. In fact, again, I'm using me as an example. I studied economics at A-level. I did business studies at GCSE, and it's absolutely fine. It's not a prerequisite. It's not something that is essential to be able to do it later on and be successful at it in A-level. Equally for German, that would depend on having enough students opting to do it, and in the past we haven't had enough students to be able to make that a viable course. That's not to say that it's impossible, but we need to have enough students who'd be expressing that interest to do it for us to be able to pursue it as an option. That said, if we have a student who is also comfortable with German and maybe has it as a second language, that's something they could do externally with the British Council, and that's something that students have done in the past, and it's great to have additional qualifications. And again, I'm sorry, I'm using me as an example. My family are from Bangladesh, and I did an extra GCSE in Bengali outside of school, and I'm really proud of that, and actually it's something that added an extra dimension to my candidacy for university and so on. Okay, I think then in that case we can maybe end the meeting, but if you do have any questions for those remaining, don't hesitate to drop us an email or just get in touch and we'll be happy to answer any of those questions. Thank you so much for your time as always, and enjoy the rest of the evening.